All right, everybody, it's me, Kelly Lord, and we're going to get started here with the next installment, episode 2 of the Krysis Project. So, as you can see, we're on location, and this is the very mall where it all started. So let's jump in. The last couple weeks have been probably the hardest that I've ever had to go through. I lost my house that I've lived in for 2.5 years. Correction, 3.5 years, because my landlord was going to sell it after I PCS'd. So I was supposed to be in Fort Lewis, Washington by now, but that's not happening. I've been flagged in the Army. My orders have been canceled, and now I'm getting an Article 15. Ironically, the investigating officer for the Inspector General investigation that I started is the one that initiated the Article 15. Please, someone tell me how that's a thing. But whatever. It's just what it is. Moving on. So, I've moved out. Now, the day prior to me moving out, I had a severe panic attack brought on by lack of sleep and hypertension. My blood pressure was so high that I practically blacked out, and I was able to call 911. Police arrived at my house, and then EMS picked me up in their ambulance. They took me over to St. Francis Hospital here in downtown Columbus. And then they found out that I was military and transferred me to Martin Army Community Hospital to the 4th floor. So the one place that I can't even be within 500 feet of, because one of the psychiatrists got what's called a military protective order against me. Now, military protective orders are basically restraining orders that apply to military installations. They don't apply off post. So if someone has a military protective order, it only prevents them from coming within 500 feet of them while they're on that installation. So it's something to be aware of. If you ever actually are in need of protection, not to make accusations and false claims, then be aware that you would also have to get, in at least Georgia, they call it a TPO, which is a temporary protective order. Now, when I was a volunteer sexual assault victim advocate for the Columbus Sexual Assault Center, the center at 909, right before COVID, we learned those very important distinctions, that we might encounter somebody who has gone through a sexual assault that could be military, and they may not want to come on post to go through the SHARP program, so they might come to the center. Now, we were instructed to inform them that they should get a military protective order, but that they also need to get a TPO, a temporary protective order, through Muskogee County. That's the county where Columbus, Georgia is. Now, My wife, Krista Fulmer, got and only has a military protective order, okay? Which, again, what have we learned? It only applies on Fort Benning here, or whatever military installation that you get it from. Now, she's under this misconception that has any bearing or really off post, because the reality is that all the lies that she has spread about me and all the false accusations didn't equal a hill of beans in the civilian courts, because the civilian judge didn't grant her the what in Missouri, where she filed in Clay County, Missouri, which Liberty, Missouri is located in Clay County. So Clay County, Missouri, the circuit court judge denied my wife's attempts to get a restraining order against me, which was still an ordeal that I had to go through. I got temporarily removed from my house when she served me with these, what's called in Missouri, an ex parte restraining order. Well, it's like one that you're applying for. It's not approved yet. The judge hasn't signed one, but you go in and you fill out your sworn statement, and then the court initiates a temporary stay or a protection order, okay? Now, the problem is that everything on her sworn statement was ridiculous. And also, if you were to read it, doesn't make much sense, because it wasn't even worded in a way that a normal person would word a sworn statement. And by normal, I mean like first person, like I statements, like on or about March 29th, my wife took my 2 daughters and our dog and left on or about or around 6 o'clock in the evening, before I came home from the car dealership where I was buying my new car, after paying off both of my old cars. At which time I walked through the door and looked around to notice that everything was disheveled and furniture was missing and my family was gone. So that's how I might word a sworn statement. The sworn statement that my wife made, or attributed to her, because it doesn't even look like her handwriting. All right. My guess is that her family's been trying to help her, or whether it's helping her or just meddling, has interjected like key phrases and words like he meaning I, like hit her with a closed fist in the chest. Okay, now for those of you who are not familiar with it, when you say closed fist on a sworn statement, that's kind of like legalese for assault. That's assault. Okay, now the problem is that the incident that she was referring to was on March 23rd, when she, in fact, was the aggressor and the abuser and punched my eye and broke my glasses and cut my nose while she was in the passenger seat. And I pushed her back and tried to stop the onslaught. Now, I already kind of talked through this a little bit in the episode 1 of this podcast. So That's how a sworn statement would go. And I've written a lot of them. I used to be a security officer. To all my friends out there who are my voodoo brothers from the Voodoo Lounge in Harris Casino, North Kansas City, back in 2009. You guys know, after every shift, we had to sit down and type up the sworn statements at like 4 in the morning. I was like, ugh. At approximately 3 o'clock in the morning, in front of Toby Keith's Bar and Grill, blah, 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 blah. Assault, blah, blah, blah. Okay? So that's how that goes. Now, the way that my wife worded hers, or whoever wrote it, was like, the daughter of Krista, older sister to Elizabeth, threw a Kleenex at Father Kelly, and then witnessed Mother Krista and Father hit with a closed fist in her chest. Now, okay, you might be like, oh, well, maybe that's a sworn statement on behalf of my daughter. No, this is the one that Krista supposedly submitted for herself. Who talks like that? Who talks like, if you're going to tell a story, who's like, daughter Abigail to mother? Like, no, you would just say, my daughter Abigail threw a tissue at her dad, and then Elizabeth whacked accidentally or on purpose or whatever her older sister with her iPad, or her tablet. At which time my husband reached back to try and break it up and grab the tablet and be like, we don't hit. At which time Krista Fulmer, punched him in the eye, breaking his glasses, causing him to scream out in pain and say that he wanted a divorce. That's what that should have said. But instead it was, Kelly, husband to Krista, hit with a closed fist in the chest. Something, you know what I'm saying? Like that. Which, again, under oath, my wife admitted to being the aggressor and punching me first. So she lied on that. And the judge didn't sign it, didn't approve it. So there are no restraining orders. And obviously she's not afraid of me to come all the way back from Missouri to here with some man and break back into my house before I moved out. While I was in Savannah, Georgia, Fort Stewart, to get, laser eye surgery consult. So I was out of the house. She comes back from Missouri, which she apparently was so afraid of me and had to leave, and was afraid that I might come all the way to Missouri. And, he doesn't follow the rules. He thinks that the rules don't apply to him. Well, anybody who knows me knows that I have like a blind, follow the rules kind of Sheldon Cooper mentality of always following the rules. Like I tried to get dipping, like chewing tobacco, banned in my company in Fort Drum. And for all of those out there who are following, who remember this from real life, leave a comment below and be like, oh, I remember that stuff. He was, you were such a douchebag for trying to get dip chewing tobacco removed, because I found in a regulation, I was like, oh, look, right there it says tobacco products are not authorized inside government buildings. And I was tired of disgusting dip spit in open containers being knocked around or left in bottles, and it was gross. And somebody was throwing like a football and playing catch inside the building, and they knocked over one of the open dip bottles, or it was like a little styrofoam coffee cup full of disgusting dip juice, and it splashed onto someone's wall locker and just got all inside it. And I was like, that's it, you know? I've had it with all these damn snakes in a plane kind of situation. And then someone was like, oh, actually in the regulation, you're not allowed to. And I was like, oh, what? Say what? It says that, huh? And then he's like, well, I'll be darned. Right here in the Blue Book, Fort Drum Blue Book, which we had to have on our pockets at all times, right? There it says it. So I went to our training room, which was like, the main office for the company, and I talked to one of the guys there who was sympathetic with me. And I was like, man, can you help me draft up a memorandum that the company commander can sign? And then he's like, yeah, man, I'm all about that. So he helps me type it up, and I take it over right, next door to the company commander. I was like, here you go, sir. Here's the specific paragraph and regulations stating this, and I'd like for you to sign it, if you will, so we can post it up. And he's like, yeah, it says that. Do you really want to go down that road? I was like, sir, it's in the regulation. I mean, it just happened to go along with what I wanted to achieve, which is not having people leave their disgusting bottles everywhere. Like, maybe you get to be just a human being and respectful of your surroundings and not leave your trash and garbage everywhere. And maybe you could do that. But so that's just one example of me adhering to the rules, all right? So the fact that in the sworn statement, in this, ridiculous charade that my wife was trying to get approved by a judge, and it says he doesn't play by the rules. He thinks the rules don't apply to him. I'm like, nope. Anyone that knows me, leave a comment below this video and tell a quick little blurb story about something where I've just followed the rules, almost like just annoyingly autistic way, right? So that being said, as a result of all this stuff, my career is just tanking fast, all right? It is what it is. And I'm trying desperately to, build a life raft from the debris from this sinking Titanic that's going down, this unsinkable ship, the pride and joy of the sea. So it's just one day at a time, one step at a time. But I saw this meme, a friend of mine sent it to me, and it was just showed, the caption was, just take life one step at a time. And the picture behind the caption was just this, I think it was maybe a metro station, in Chicago, rail, monorail kind of steps, right? Just frozen over with a solid, slippery sheet of ice. And these are the steps. There's not even anywhere to step. It's just take one, life. Just take it one day at a time, one step at a time. And then it's the steps that you're on. Just slip and slide all the way down to your death, man. It's just. I don't know. I'm still here. Man, I'm. Yesterday, last night, that was hard. I haven't been sleeping well. And it's not because I don't want to. And it's just, I'm waiting for my body to shut down and just like go to sleep. And I'm waiting and waiting and waiting, and it just never happens. Try and take stuff, it doesn't work. And then what am I supposed to do? I'm just waiting for a natural process, but my body and my mind has been so thrown off ever since my wife left. I mean, she and I used to be that center for each other, all right? I mean, she was the same way. She's like, I can't sleep without you, babe. And I felt the same way in this fact that when everything is centered in your life and everything is going the way it's supposed to, and your mind is, peaceful, you just naturally go to sleep. My wife used to be envious how I could just lay my head down and within 5 minutes I'd be like, I'd be out. And now, it's just painfully tired. And you might be thinking, well, why don't you take the Army? Should be giving you medications and, things to help out. When the psychiatrist that is supposed to help you gets a military protective order that says you can't be within 500 feet of him, which is the hospital at Martin Army Community Hospital, how are you supposed to get help from a therapist when they get a restraining order against you? We've gone from the absurd to the ridiculous to the, am I dreaming yet? Someone please help me wake up. But till then, I'm just gonna keep on living this nightmare. But I'm still here, and I appreciate everyone who's been supporting me through all this. So, this is your host, Kelly Lord, signing off for episode 2 of Krysis Project. Until next time, bye.